So seems a lot has happened within and perhaps even over the last week or so, especially here in Broncos country. But honestly, I feel like we're going in a direction that is very, very difficult to not be happy with. What's going on, y'all? A&J back with more Broncos talk. And yeah, we got some really huge things that have happened over the last little bit that I was away that I definitely got to get into. I mean, of course, Davis Webb and Vance Joseph, although it's not entirely official yet, but of course, both of them are coming back to be the defensive and offensive coordinators, respectively. I mean, that's huge in and of itself. We did, of course, unfortunately lose Jim Leonard to the Buffalo Bills as he's going to be their new defensive coordinator. And, of course, you know, it is going to be really interesting to see what happens, especially having fired the cornerbacks coach and wide receivers coach the way that we did. So, how we see this staff retooled on both sides of the ball is going to be incredibly interesting here in the days, weeks, and even months to come. But I actually am rather looking forward to what we see as far as the Broncos are concerned, especially with again the names that we're bringing back on the coaching staff, Vance obviously and Davis Webb. Of course, Jim Leonard is going to be the defensive coordinator, and we've got someone who actually is also in Buffalo to be the offensive coordinator, although I can't seem to remember his name. Nothing new here right now, but you know, definitely going to be really interested to see what the Buffalo Bills will be like. To me, I feel like they are still going to be the number one team. I would consider, even with New England being in the Super Bowl, that I would look at as being in the way as far as the Super Bowl next year out in LA is going to be concerned, at least in the AFC. I mean, New England will probably still be something of a factor. It really depends on what they do, if they make any moves to retool or whatever the case may be, one way or another. And then, of course, depending on how everything works out with the Baltimore Ravens, that one's going to be also very interesting to see as well. Um, Truthfully, the entirety of the AFC North is probably going to be pretty must watch, especially with a lot of the moves they made coaching wise, namely Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, there's definitely reason to pay attention to what happens with that specific division right there. Does Aaron Rodgers stay with Pittsburgh, or does he go somewhere else, or is he actually done? I'm pretty much leaning towards the latter of that, but who knows with this guy? It seems like he was done on a multitude of occasions within the last X number of years, so we'll see what winds up happening there as well. But focusing more on the Broncos, just the retention of both Davis Webb and Vance Joseph, I can't say enough about that. And depending on who all we bring back with free agency coming up in a little bit more than a month, especially with the new league year, and who knows, do we make any other kind of splash moves? A lot of people are talking about the likes of George Pickens, Brees Hall, even Kenneth Walker, although I think he's probably more likely to stay in Seattle, especially if they should win on Sunday. But all the same, we've got an awful lot of things that could happen. There could be a lot of cut candidates from other teams that would work out real well with the orange and blue. I mean, I just got done watching a Broncos breakdown video by Chat Sports where guys like Tremaine Edmonds, Jonnu Smith, um, and I want to say Darnell Mooney, amongst others, were mentioned. I know that if nothing else, I would certainly like a Tremaine Edmonds, provided we don't get back Alex Singleton or Justin Stranad, or even if both of them decide to leave. I feel like the more likely scenario is we would probably keep Singleton, maybe even Stranad, and see what we can find a way to what we can make happen with the draft. I mean, you got guys like C.J. Allen and a host of others. I'm trying to think of the kid from Texas that I like. He's really good. Either way, either one of those two would work well in the Broncos locker room. I would certainly love seeing that. They could even go receiver or perhaps even running back, depending on what's there as well. I mean, I've seen mocks where a lot of people see the opportunity to pick up Jeremiah Love, who would fall that late, which I don't see a hope in hell of that happening. If he's not gone top 10, I don't know. And then, of course, Jadarian Price is Notre Dame backfield mate. He's slated to go second round. I feel like he's going to mess around and be a first rounder as well. Like, there are an awful lot of teams that could utilize a back like either of those two, and I could see both of them going early to mid first round where that's concerned. And with that, for me personally, I'm looking at bringing back a JK, and if they don't bring another running back in, which I feel like there are certain running backs you could bring in and still re-sign JK and it could work realistically. Obviously, Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker aren't going to be one of those, but I'm thinking guys like a Tyler Algier, possibly even a Rico Dowdle. Those are guys that I would certainly love to see out here in Denver. And if whether JK is back or not, I think either one of them would complement JK and RJ very well in the backfield, and amazing things would wind up happening from that. I mean, there's just no way around that. Now, the only thing about that, of course, is what happens with a guy like a Jaquan McMillan. I mean, you brought in a Jahdae Barron, which I'm not necessarily sure if he was given the opportunity to shine the way that he could have been. I don't know. We'll leave that all up for debate. But, of course, they kind of take snaps from one another, and that also could be said for a Chris Abrams train as well. I feel like that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch. I would love for Jaquan to come back because the combination of those three alongside PS2 and Riley Moss, I mean, that's got to be, if nothing else, the nastiest cornerback room in all of the NFL. I don't care who you want to compare them to. It's just, you're not going to get much better than that in terms of talent and what they have going for them. But for me, honestly, the biggest thing, more than anything else, is, whether or not Davis Webb actually takes over play calling, because I feel like that's going to wind up being important. Or even in a situation where you have play calling duties shared between Sean Payton and Davis Webb, I feel like the combination of the two could go really well. I mean, I've even heard to where there were times where in Kansas City, Andy Reid would call the pass plays, and Eric Bieniemy, who they just brought back to Kansas City, would call the run plays. You could easily have something like that going. I don't know that would necessarily be that exactly, but just sharing the play calling duties, I think at the very least needs to be something that's considered. Maybe have Davis Webb take it over altogether. I mean, it really just depends on how all those minds come together on all of this. And just being perfectly honest, it really is a can't lose situation if those are the things that are explored where play calling is concerned offensively. And then, of course, addressing those coaching areas of need, particularly the cornerbacks or the defensive backs, and of course the receivers coaches. But I guess we'll see how all that works out again in the coming days and weeks, and looking forward to having Bo back, of course, in OTAs. But more than anything else, as a Broncos fan, what are you looking forward to specifically? Let me know what y'all think down below in the comment section. And of course, y'all know what it is. If y'all enjoy the content, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, definitely hit that notification bell just so you know when more videos are coming through. With that being said, this has been your time with A&J, and I thank you for spending it with me.